The military power of a nation is invariably the deciding factor on how powerful a nation really is. In the case of Russia, the dissolution of the Soviet Union played a very important role, especially in its military or armed forces. In a very political and critical move, the then President Boris Yeltsin signed a presidential decree which brought almost the entire Soviet's military under Russia's control. Russian military, which has a budget of $70 billion, 5.3% share of their GDP, has several branches comprising of ground troops, navy, air forces, missile troops of strategic purpose, and the aerospace defense troops, and the total number of personnel are around 34,765,736. History. Formed in 1992, the Russian Armed Forces is under the leadership of the President of Russia as the Commander-in-Chief. After the dissolution of USSR in 1991, the Russian Federation inherited most of the USSR's military along with several challenges. The most urgent challenge at that time for Russia was to move all the weaponry, equipments, and personnel from the newly independent states of USSR. Most important was the nuclear arsenal that existed in states like Ukraine, Belarus, and Kazakhstan. This was also the time when Russia's new military faced dramatic personnel and budget deficit. Russia had to cut the budget for its military in the post-Cold War world. The lack of funding resulted in poor training and pay for the personnel. This led to poor quality personnel being inducted, mostly unhealthy, uneducated, and sometimes every criminals. Russia had to even sell most of the modern weapons to foreign buyers to gain currency. The last string was when the Russian military found it very difficult to take control of Chechen Republic that was breaking away. This, along with the publication of the poor situation of the forces by the media, both local and international, paved way for military reformation of their forces. At the end of the first decade of the 21st century, Russian military forces went through a series of reforms that brought Russia to the top spot and made it one of the two superpowers of the world. A systematic plan that involved reducing the armed forces to just around 1 million, centralizing the training of the forces, reducing the number of officers in charge, increasing civilian staff, reorganizing the reserves, reorganizing army into brigade system, and reorganizing the air forces into air-based system rather than regiments. Military capacity. The Russian land forces have 20,050 tanks, 30,201 armored fighting vehicles, 5,963 self-propelled artillery, and 4,020 rocket artillery, while their Air Force has 629 fighter aircrafts, 428 multi-role aircrafts, 752 attack aircrafts, and 1,360 helicopters. And the Navy has 83 corvettes, 61 submarines, and 19 destroyers. Lastly, but surely not the least, Russia has a total of 7,500 nuclear warheads in its repertoire of weapons. Russia still uses the conscript system, where it is mandatory to serve in the military for at least 1 year between the age of 17 and 27. Only those holding a PhD degree or those whose immediate family member was either killed or disabled while in military service are released from conscription. Conscription was originally for 24 months, but this had to be curtailed to just 12 months because of hazing. It came to knowledge that the draftees in their second year would bully those in the first year. The problem became grave when one Hu battalion was killed not by enemy but by their own by beating them to death. This was when the conscript time period was changed from 24 months to 18 months and then to the current 12 months. Russia had to do a series of changes in the right direction to become the superpower it is now. The vital factor is increasing the budget for the military. Right after the dissolution, Russia had to cut back on its military expenditure. It reached its lowest. That move proved bad for Russia as it found itself struggling to keep Chechen Republic secure. Gradually, through changes in its military and the budget for it, Russia started holding ground. From just 1/4 of the military budget of the USSR in 1991 to $70 billion in 2017, Russia strategically came back to its old glory. Nuclear power. Russia is one of the oldest nuclear power, which detonated its first nuclear device way back in 1949. Currently, it has in all 1,765 deployed warheads, about 2,700 non-deployed warheads, and 2,510 warheads that are awaiting disassembling, as estimated by the Federation of American Scientists, and having this control is very critical to Russia. To make sure this is not misused by rogue officers, the President of Russia oversees it directly. The staff who manage the nuclear weapons are given command directly by the President himself. Russia continues to develop its nuclear arsenal, also those that are built on precision-guided systems. It has already demonstrated its use of superior long-range missiles in Syria. This is only going to increase in the next few years, and Russia will emerge as a very confident nuclear power soon. Russia is also the number 2 as far as exports of arms is concerned. In the year 2015 alone, Russia exported arms worth $14.5 billion as reported by Russian officials. Russia's largest customers are North Africa, Middle East, and Asia-Pacific region, and it exports everything from small arms to long-range defense systems. The marketing, getting contracts, and exports of this are done by the state company Rosoboronexport, which ships to over 70 countries. Russia knows its needs to diversify, and it deploys different strategies like exchanging natural resources for arms from its customers, or allowing credit transactions on purchase of very expensive equipments. It is also looking at opening up the option of local assembling. By flaunting its success with Syria, Russia is showing its potential customers the effectiveness of its arms and equipments, showcasing how reliable they are. Russia is taking all the steps possible to overcome all the challenges and remain at the top spot in this competitive global market.